So this is my 5.5 gallon Aquarium little tank. It's been up there on the little shelf. I took it down. It used to be right there. And it had my big beautiful yellow male in there. And now he's kicking it in there because there's a bunch of females for him to do his business with. And what I'm going to be doing is cutting this aquarium in half. You heard me right. I'm going to be cutting this thing in half, right down the center. And I'm going to turn it into 2 different tanks, each that are 2.5 gallon, and they'll be portrait style. So they'll be 8 inches wide, 8 inches deep, and 10 inches tall. I am going to start by taking the tank completely apart, which I won't be talking through. I've got to take the rims, the bands off the top and the bottom. I've got to take all the glass apart, clean all the black paint off the back, clean up all the glass, cut the glass, the 3 pieces, bring all this back together, re-silicone it, put it together, and make sure we're good. And at that point, I'm probably going to have to buy an extra piece of glass to make the second tank, but I've already checked. It's like $5. So let's get to it. This is not a how-to video. This is a how I've done it video. So just sit back and watch, and let's see if it works.
Please subscribe.
Okay, I won't lie. Taking this top off is scary as hell, because every time you hear something crack, you think it's glass, not plastic. But you have to get something up into the lip on both sides and cut the silicone free. I've been using my feelers gauge because it's nice and thin and strong, and then breaking it apart. And once you get it started, you should be able to get it out. If you put constant pressure, don't pull hard, just put constant pressure. And once you get it started, the silicone will start coming free. Please use gloves. If I slice this, if I break this and slice my hand, I'm going to the hospital. And I'm an idiot. Alright. That's the hard part done. The bottom is always easier to take off than the top. It has a lot less silicone. And I've already felt it starting to come up when I was messing around, so it usually comes off just about that easy and quick. Alright, the rest of this project is pretty simple as long as you go nice and slow. You want to use a razor blade. If you're wondering what kind of silicone to use, I use GE Silicone 1, all-purpose, 100% silicone. It does not leach into the water, does not hurt the animals. And you have to work extra hard in the corners. And I can't really see. But the last thing you want to do is start getting your glass to where it moves and the corner doesn't, and it just snaps right off. So don't be in a hurry just because it seems like it's easy.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
So was that as nerve-wracking for you as it was for me?
Schieß dem Fenster. Shoot the glass.
The important thing is the silicone holds the glass. If you're putting constant pressure on the glass, just light constant pressure, and it's not moving, look around for more silicone. It'll be the smallest little amount that's holding it in place, and as soon as you find a way to cut that silicone, the piece will just kind of pop right over. No real pressure. If you put too much pressure on it, you'll shatter the glass. But if you just have just the slightest little bit of pressure on there, when you cut that right string of silicone, it'll just let go. Okay, now this is the bottom, and I've marked it exactly in the center. Measured it out completely, down to the millimeter. Marked it exactly in half. I'm going to cut it in half. Then I'm going to cut the front exactly in half, and that's going to give me my two sides along with my side. And this should take care of the whole thing. When you make the cut, remember that the wheel is in the center of this thick part right here. So you want to put your wheel on the mark, not your ruler. So just offset it a tiny bit. Glasses doesn't have to be perfect. And the silicone will make up for a lot of mistakes. And it's either going to work or it's not going to work. And there you go. Perfect cut. And hopefully they are damn close. I can feel just the slightest offset. And you know what? The silicone will take care of that problem. So we should be good to go. This is our bottom, and this is our side. We know it's going to fit that way. When I cut the new front, it should be perfect. Now I've marked this one exactly half. Keep it back just a touch. Hold it tight. Make sure you're on a flat work surface. That moved at the last minute. I should have put some double-sided tape on there, but I didn't. And that may screw me up. Let's see if it'll break. Well, that's all kinds of crooked. But again, the silicone will make up for all kinds of problems that you might have. Now remember, these edges are very sharp, so don't cut yourself. I'm going to have to take some sandpaper to them and clean them up. I'm on the edge of glory, and I can't find my cock. How about you? There it is. Okie dokie dokers. I've got all my pieces taped off. They've been cleaned. They've been cleaned with acetone. There's no more residue on them. I use masking tape to mask everything off. I've numbered them where they go. I've dry fit them. Now the fun part. And it is not that easy because these pieces are so small. Don't want to get off the glass and onto my desk. Now I have this taped down to this. This is to keep caulk off my desk. This is to stop this from moving on here so I can set these in place. I have the pieces numbered, taped off, and I have the numbers where they go here on the bottom. So and that's it. We wait 24 hours for this thing to dry. Hopefully I've got enough in there. As you can figure out, with the large caulk gun, it's going to be a little bit hard for me to get in there and put some extra, but I may do that since I'm all taped up anyway. I can do that off camera. I don't want it to move. You want to make sure you press everything together so it's got a good seal. And that's it. And I went ahead and decided to go ahead and put some more. I was able to reach all the way around and get a really good seal on the inside. The last thing to do is pull the tape. Taping it, make sure that you have really good edges. And it's better to pull the tape when it's still wet. And you have about 45 minutes before this really tacks up to get a shell on it. If the glass isn't perfect, especially if it's your first time, don't fret. You'll get better. Okay, now the fun part. These are foam sheets with adhesive backing that I get at Hobby Lobby for a grand total of 99 cents. These are great, and when you're dealing with nano tanks, it's real easy to get cheap supplies for them. So what I want to do is cut a mat, a foam mat for underneath of it. Whenever you're using a rimless tank, you want a foam mat. I like a little black sticking out. So I am just going to cut mine a little bit large. Silly winks. Make sure the bottom of the tank is clean and fairly dry. And that's all it needs to do. You can go ahead. And now I've got a self-leveling mat. That stays with the tank when you pick it up. That's all that is. You can even double it up if you want. There's not a lot of weight in this tank. The reason I have a second one is because instead of using a vinyl splash back on the back, I'm going to use this foam right on the back. Going to stick just as well as anything else you put on there. As you can see, it's a whole lot easier to deal with. And now I have a back. I chose black. It comes in many colors. I think I saw red, blue, yellow. So for $2, I have a pad for the tank to sit on. So that the glass doesn't break from the weight. And remember, you won't see the color of the pad on the bottom because you have substrate in there. But I also have a nice colored background that only cost me $1 and took me about 2 minutes to put on. Go ahead and just put some pressure on it, move it around. I love nano tanks because they're so easy to deal with. And there you go. Pad on the bottom, black background like I like. Now the important part, which I'm not doing on my desk. It's been 24 hours. Let's fill this thing with water and make sure it doesn't leak. This part's always fun because I really don't know how much water this little tank's gonna hold. This is 1 gallon. Now remember, when you make your own tanks, it takes quite a few times for the silicone to gas off. So what I do is fill it, then empty it 24 hours later, then fill it and empty it. And I do that for about a week. And then I finally fill it after a week and let it set for about a week to make sure that it's safe for fish. And in that time, you can clean it and do all that kind of stuff. There's 1 gallon. So while we're filling it with the 2nd gallon, this tank cost me $4 worth of silicone and $2 for the underpad and the background. So $6 because I got the other tank for absolutely free. You can usually find used tanks free of this size, or they're $12 brand new at the store for the equivalent of a $60 nano cube. So I've got less than $10 into this and a little bit of my time. There's 2 gallons. And here's about a half a gallon, but it's not going to take that. I'd say about 2 1/3 gallons. So it's a little over 2 gallons. Not too bad looking if I say so myself. So there it is, filled with a little over 2 gallons. I had put the background on the wrong side You see that the front side, the strips of silicone are much skinnier. So I just popped it off, switched it around to the back side, and that's the final tank right there. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is $6 and a few hours of your time worth it to make a $60 Nano yourself? Or should I just buy it from the store? Well, there you have it, guys. I cut a fish tank in half and made a Nano cube out of it. Like I said, I got the tank for free. I spent about $4 on silicone. The whole thing is 9 something and I used less than a half of it. I spent $2 on 2 foam pads at the Hobby Lobby. You may have a better way of doing it, or an old yoga mat, or you don't like the idea of putting foam on there. It's a Nano cube, so you can use pretty much anything you want. And that's just what I choose to use. It goes on quick. It looks just as good when you're finished. And it stays on there for a long time. So, there's a lot of people out there that thought this wasn't possible. Remember, if you have a tank that has tempered glass, usually that's only on the bottom. All the sides are rarely tempered glass. On these particular tanks, the 5 gallon, the 2.5 gallon, and even the 10 gallon, you're looking at 2.5 millimeter glass. That's the same standard stuff that every hardware store sells. I thought it would be thicker. It wasn't, and the bottom is not tempered. I believe they start tempering the bottom sheet or the bottom of the tank at around 20 gallons. But check the manufacturer. If it's tempered, there'll be a sticker or an engraving on the bottom with the company's name, and you can check to see if it's tempered by using polarized sunglasses. But if it's 20 gallons or less, you're probably okay. And if you find an old 10 gallon or an old 20 gallon tank that you can get for $5-10 or free, somebody threw one out because it had a broken piece of glass, you can use all the rest of that glass, cut it real easy, and you can make your own Nano tanks for basically free. I literally almost purchased a Nano tank in the past week. I almost put out the $60, and now I'm exceedingly happy that I didn't, because it was actually kind of fun putting this thing together. It wasn't as hard as I thought. I had all the tools except for the glass cutter, which cost me $4 at my local store. And apparently I have the talent. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Thanks for coming by. Share the video with somebody you love that's in the aquarium hobby, or that just likes to watch do-it-yourself. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It's somewhere between my chin and my balls, and I'll see you soon.